Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make these really cool evil eye painted rocks, and we'll also talk a little bit about art and about creativity. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Laura Beth Love and I'm an artist and author, and I love to create all different types of art and craft projects and share them with you. Let's get started. To start our Evil Eye Stones project, you're going to gather your supplies. I have a variety of acrylic paints in different shades of blue. The basic colors you need for this project are you need a black paint, you need a white paint, you need a dark blue or like a royal blue, and a lighter blue, which usually is like a turquoise color. This light blue is really pretty. So I have my paints and a paper plate that I'll use as my palette. So I'm just going to go around and just put some dots on there. You don't need a ton of paint. You know, usually a little bit goes a long way. You will only need a really little bit of the black. And you can determine this just by looking at the design. I'm going to put more white on there because I'll use more white in. I'd rather put less paint out in the beginning than put too much out and then have waste. So what I'm going to do is just put a little squirt of each one out, maybe the size of like a quarter, or oh, I'm running low on this one. And acrylic paint works fine. Obviously you don't want to use any kind of watercolor. It's not going to work on a stone. You want something that's going to be, come on, this one's just about empty. All right, well, we need to refill this one. Okay. Going right around here. And these aren't very expensive paints either. They're a few dollars. I usually buy mine on sale. I think most people do. There we go. I'll just put an extra glob of that one down. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is we're going to take a look at our stones. Now, I washed these already. I collected them from, you know, around the stream near my home. And you want to try to find something that has a smooth surface. It's not too curved. Like I have a few here, like this one, you know, it has a flatter side and it has a rounder side, but when I lay it this way, it sits pretty flat, but it's going to be harder to paint on that curved surface than it will be to paint on this flat surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to paint on the flat surface. And then here's one. Now this one has like a crevice in it, like kind of a crack. The back of it looks like it was broken. So I'm going to use the flat side of this one, and so on and so forth. Now here's a nice one it's a lighter color. It's going to be easier for the paint colors to show up on a lighter color. Also depends on the quality of paints you have. If you have a little bit of a better quality paint, it's not going to be as transparent. You'll be able to have like a nice rich color on there that isn't like, you know, you're not going to have to put 3 coats on, hopefully. So yeah, so check out your stones, see which, you know, size you want to use for painting, and get those ready. Next thing, I have a few brushes. These are just small basic craft brushes. They're like size, I don't even know if the sizes really are accurate. It says 1/6/4. And the first thing we're going to do is get all your supplies together. I also have a container of water. It's just an old mason jar full of water that I use to clean my brush. Sometimes I'll get up and just go to the sink to wash it. And I have some paper towels here as well to clean up messes. So let's get started. Let's pick one to start with. Let's see. How about we're going to start with this one that has a kind of a flaw on it, because this is the first one. So there's one side. I think I'm going to use this side. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, these are painted in concentrical rings. So we're going to have a dark blue and then white, and then the turquoise with the black dot in the center is the pupil of the eye. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my white colored paint, and I am going to make like just a big white circle. And the reason I'm doing that is it sets like a nice base for the other colors. Then I don't have to worry about, you know, going over, like I said before, these aren't like the super best quality paints, but they're good quality. And see, even one coat is pretty good with that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this white circle like the size of the entire eye that I'm going to create. And I'm just making the circle by going stroke by stroke. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm trying to make it round. And, you know, because these are stones, like you just saw me fill in that little divot, you know, they're imperfect. So the surface isn't like painting on a canvas or painting on paper. You're painting on a natural, you know, object. So what I'm going to do is just get that circle as the size that I want. I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than that. So to make it bigger, I'm just going to like expand the edge, and then I'm going to eyeball it, no pun intended, right? And make sure it's balanced so that I have, you know, no really lopsided side compared to the other. You want it to be symmetrical. So that one's looking pretty good. It's not in the center of the stone, and that's okay. But what I'm going to do is, since I have the white done on this one, I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and I'm going to grab the next one, and I'm going to do a circle on the next one. So let's see, which side do I want for this one. Let's see, I'm going to do this side. So yeah, so just see how nice and bright that white is on here. But also, do you see the edge and how, you know, rough it is? Like you have all those little spots in there. And you can leave it like that if you like, and it has like a very rudimentary kind of look to it. Or you can just kind of go over it like this and just kind of brush the paint into that little hole that you have there. So I'm just going to go around and around and go over it again and again until I have the size of the evil eye I want. This one I'm a little bigger. Now this is acrylic paint, and this is water soluble, so I can dip into a little water and kind of loosen this paint up a little bit, and that will also help get into all those crevices. But it also makes the paint a little bit more transparent, like you can, you know, see through that. So, you know, do that. Be careful when you're adding water to it that you don't want it dripping all over the place. And let's see, this looks you know what? I did use the curved side, so now it's giving me trouble making it a circle because I'm working on a curved surface. So I really have to hold it back and take a look at it. And I think that's pretty good. So let's set this one aside to dry and do our next one. Let's go with this guy. Now I'm gonna, let's see, a drop of water in with this. And I'm mixing the water right here on my paper plate palette. You can use anything for a palette, you know. You can use just a regular, you know, porcelain plate, or, you know, paper plates are great. I also save, sometimes when you buy meat, they come on those styrofoam plates. It's like a kind of a rectangle shape of styrofoam. I know when we buy like sausage, it comes like that. And I always wash those and save those because those are great as palettes for acrylic painting. I like them because the black ones, you can really see the colors of your paint. There we go. And for the next one, I think I'm going to go a little bit larger in size. So let's set this one aside to dry. And let's do this nice one. So, and I think I might have a little bit too much paint on this brush. But, no. But yeah, the way you work out a circle is just keep going around, do those smooth kind of strokes. And yeah, it definitely helps to loosen up the paint with a little bit of water. And painting stones is really meditative. It's really relaxing. It's fun to do. The materials are basically free except for your paints and your brushes, right? And it's also challenging. I think that like when you're creative and you want to try different kinds of crafts, it's good to challenge yourself. Like I'm challenging myself with this challenging surface that I'm painting on, right? Okay. Now this one, it's funny because the one I painted on the darker stones, like this one that we just did, it looks like it showed up like, you know, you could really see the contrast. Maybe that's what it is. But I feel like I can see through this paint so much. And I don't think I thinned it out too much with water, but okay, next one. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. So here we have, I'm gonna switch brushes and see how this other brush works. Let's try this. I'm gonna go to this brush. This is more of a pointed tip. It might be a little bit better. So yeah, I'm doing like a C shape. So just like a C-shaped stroke. Every so often, I am dipping into that water and just thinning it into my paint a little bit. And that makes it go in nice and smooth. So if you want your evil eye to be right in the center of your stone, you're gonna have to kind of look at your stone, figure out right where your center is, and then work out from there. Okay. There we go. And this paint only takes a few minutes to dry. It's very easy to work with. If you put it on thick, it's going to take a little longer. You know, if you can do, you know, 1 coat, 2, the more coats you put on, the longer it's going to take to dry, obviously. Again, like I said, it depends on the quality of your paint, how thick you're putting it on, those factors. So that looks pretty good. I like that. All right, so I only have 2 more to do. Let me dip in some water again. And yeah, I'm gonna do this side. So, right, I'm gonna find the center, and then I'm just gonna kind of work out from there. Filling in those little holes. And we're gonna go over those with the other colors then. Now, the traditional colors, like I said, dark blue, a light blue or like a light turquoise, white, and black. But you can add your own style and mix it up by choosing different colors. And you can keep the same symbol and just make it your own. Make it a little bit different. Say instead of using the navy blue that we're going to put around the edge, let's say you want to use like a dark purple. And then for the turquoise, you might want to use like lavender or violet. All right, let's see this guy. Pretty good. I'm smoothing out some of my brush strokes. I think I need to go up a little bit more up on this end. And I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Next one, last is this one. So when you put a little bit of water in with this acrylic paint, you know, the acrylic paint is heavy bodied. You're going to have to kind of use the end of your brush to work that in and to loosen it up, get all those lumps out until you have like just this like smooth consistency. All right. So now that we have our base down, our big white circle, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start painting from the outside in. Okay, so the dark blue ring is around the outside, and then the white, and we've already painted the white, so we don't have to do that unless we kind of goof up the blue a little bit and go out of the bounds of the ring of that we're going to paint. Then you can use a little white to kind of clean it up. But as long as you're just, you know, sticking to this spiral shape, you'll be good. Now this one that I'm doing right now is a very oddly shaped rock. It is wobbly as anything when I set it down, so I really have to hold it to paint it. And there we are. Okay, now, okay, the white circles are done, and I'm going to take a look at them and see if I need to touch up any of the white. This one looks a little bit lumpy to me, so I'm just going to take a little bit more paint and just kind of smooth it out. It looks like it could be a little bit darker. And like I said, you know, you can always go over it later in the end when you have your other colors down. You might say, oh, you know, the white is kind of showing through. I can see the stone a little bit through that, so I'm going to go over it. But all I did to prep these stones was I washed them. I went to, you know, I rubbed the dirt off outside so I didn't get any. You don't want to be washing like little particles of stone and dirt down your sink. You definitely don't want that in your garbage disposal or down your drain. So, you know, take them outside, take a bucket of water, slush them around, and then I brought them inside and I let them soak overnight. And then I took an old, like a nail brush that I use like for cleaning, and I just scrubbed them all around, you know, try to get the dirt out if there's any crevices in them, and, you know, just let them soak, rinse them again, and then let them dry. And, you know, they're still kind of have a dirty kind of texture to them. In some places it looks like there's mud in there. I don't know if that's part of the stone or what, but okay, that's our first coating of paint. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to clean my brush in a little bit of water and just wipe it on a paper towel, swish it around a couple times, and I'm going to go to our dark blue, which is going to be our outer ring. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to still use the same brush, and I'm going to again take just a little bit of water just so I can, there we go, make sure it's loose enough that it's not too lumpy. And I'm going to start a little bit too much paint on my brush. And you know, and if that happens, you can take a paper towel and like, you can just like wipe the paint off like this, and then just like get your tip in there, because you don't need your entire brush gobbed up with paint from the tip of the bristles all the way up to the, you know, the hilt. So I'm gonna hold it with one hand, and I use my pinky finger kind of to stabilize, and I am just gonna kind of start on the edge and just go around. And you know, you can travel this way or this way. I like to go this way, and I'm going at the edge of the white, and if I've skipped places, I'll just go back over it, or I can smooth it out after I do the entire circle. And I'm using the outside as a guide for my circular shape. That's why it's so great to put that white circle down first, because once you have that base down, you know where to go, where to start, where to stop, without having it be like very lopsided. Like, that's pretty good so far, right? And I'm just working in little like 1/2 inch strokes to 3/4 of an inch and connecting in the end here. Okay, so that's going to need to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to go over it again. And you can see some of the white underneath, and that's okay. If you want to cover that up, you can. And I don't want it to turn into, you know, so dark a blue that it looks black. So I'm going to be careful that I don't make it too thick. Nice. All right. It has that pretty, it's kind of neon with the white underneath it, right? It's pretty neat. All right, so the width of the outer ring looks pretty good to me. I'd say that's maybe, oh, it's more than 1/4 of an inch. Just a little bit more, over 1/4 of an inch or so. And, you know, if you go in too much, you're going to give yourself less room to work with in the center. And you see how the white circle now has kind of wonky edges? Like there's a kind of a straight line there. I lost my circular shape. I'm just going to go like very carefully and just try to like fix that a little bit. And like I said, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And in the very end, you can always go and, you know, you're going to eyeball it. Again, there's that word. You're going to eyeball it again And you're going to see like, oh, where do I need to, you know, straighten this out or fix this? And you know, then you can do that. So you don't have to like, don't obsess over it is what I'm saying. Like, this is supposed to be fun, right? It's relaxing, it's fun, you're doing it because you enjoy it. Okay, so there is my first ring, and I see I have some glumpy edges on there, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm gonna set this one aside and I'm gonna do the next one. So I'm just gonna grab some more of that paint. I'm gonna start on the edge. And you know, you don't have to use a big stroke. You can use a smaller stroke. I like these little 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch is kind of good for me. And this is a larger one, so it's not as manageable as the smaller one. I enjoy doing the small detailed work, probably because I'm a jeweler. When you're a jewelry artist, you know, you're used to working with small components, small things, teeny tiny things sometimes that you can hardly see. And I just told my friend the other day that, you know, I wear reading glasses, and I started wearing them a few years ago. I didn't really need them, but I only used them like when I was making jewelry, because I found that it really helped when you have really small components, like a chain that you have to put together, or you know, small beads, and it definitely helped. Oh, and here is Sarah the cat. Well, Sarah cat, stay over there, okay? All right. So I have my outside ring done on this one. And I'm bringing the ring in and making it wider. And I just had a massive cup of coffee, so my hands are a little bit shaky. But you know what? I had this paint on my table here. Everything set up. I had the, you know, the brushes, the paint, the stones. They've been here for a few days, and I just was busy with other things, and I thought, I really want to do this video. I've been planning on it actually for a few months. Now, the Evil Eye motif is one that I have in a few of my paintings that I have on my print-on-demand sites, the main one being Society 6. It's one of my most popular prints, and I do it in a variety of different colors. There we go. And that is that one done. So let's do this one. I have an area here where I went a little wide, and I'm going to have to widen the other side because I can't remove that paint. I could try, but it's probably going to be a major mess. And I can tell you right now from experience that it's just going to be like a debacle. It's not going to turn out well trying to remove that paint. You're better off just trying to widen the other side and even it out. And you know, you can get caught in that thing where you're like, oh, I made this too wide, now I gotta do this one, now this one. Then you have like nothing in this, no room in the center to finish it. So I think that looks pretty good, and I'll go on to the next one. You know, I'm not fussing too much. You know, I'm happy with the shape I have, and you know, I'm doing what how many have I been doing? 7. So it's like, they might not all turn out perfectly great, and that's fine. 1 or 2 really cool ones, I'm happy with that. And like I said, you know, it's practice too. Practice makes perfect. Here I'm going a little thinner with that line. Let's see how that works. And you know, it's a weird shaped stone here. It's hard to kind of hold on to. There we are. You might find that you like to paint towards yourself. I like doing the circles. I think I do a better job when I'm going away from myself, starting and going away. This kind of reminds me of the pasanki that I make, the Ukrainian Easter eggs. I have a video on that on my Skillshare. It's workshop I teach. It's a rather long workshop, and it's an intricate project. There's a lot of steps to it, and that's something I've been making since I was a little girl. And you should really check that out if you ever wanted to learn how to make those beautiful, colorful Ukrainian eggs. It's actually a form of batik. A lot of people think that they're painted. And there are eggs that are painted. There are Ukrainian eggs that are painted, for sure. But the traditional pisanki or pisanka are done with a wax resist technique where you are using hot wax to cover. Let's say you start with a white egg. You apply the hot wax with a stylus, like a tool called a kiska or a stylus. And anywhere that you cover the white egg with wax, after you dip the egg into a dye, obviously the parts of the egg that you covered with wax, they're not going to absorb that dye because they're covered in wax. And so you put wax on the egg wherever you want to keep it white, and then you dye it in your first color. You always start light to dark, so you start with like yellow or orange. And you put more wax on wherever you want to keep the egg orange. And so on and so forth until you do all the colors you want. Traditionally, it's like red, yellow, orange, black, but you can use all different colors. And that was a little bit crooked, but that's okay. And then in the very end, when you're done putting all the wax on, all those, you know, ornate designs are all painted on, or I should say drawn on, with hot wax. It's beeswax, and you know, it smells wonderful. And it's the carbon in the wax, because you hold the Kiska tool over a flame. And that causes the wax, which is like a yellow beeswax, to turn black. And that is how you see your design when you're putting it on an egg, because it would just be like a clear yellow wax, and it would be very hard to see where you just drew, you know, let's say you're drawing like a wheat design or something traditional like that. You wouldn't be able to see where you just drew. Now, there are electric tools that people use for Ukrainian eggs, and I have those too. And those are great for filling in a lot of area, or if you have like a really fine, really thin line that you need to do. Those tools are great for that, but they will not turn the wax black. So you have to buy black wax, special black wax, to put in those tools. It's just an interesting fact. So when you're done with the egg in the very end, you very carefully melt all that wax off, and you wipe it off with a paper towel over and over again. It is not a technique to be rushed. It is something that is, again, very meditative, relaxing. When I do this kind of art and that kind of art, you know, you can really get lost in your thoughts. And there we go. And a little bit, even that out. Anyway, in the very end, you're left with this beautiful, beautiful egg. So if you're interested in that, check out Skillshare and look me up, Laura Beth Love, because I have a really nice class that I teach, and I think you'll find it a lot of fun and very informative. All right. This one is kind of getting out of control. It's getting heavy on the edge, but that's okay. They all are unique. Each one is going to have its own beauty, right? And I'm trying. There, okay. But just so you get the general idea, this one is hard to do because it's really curved. So people who paint on rocks professionally for a living, I admire you, because it is not an easy task when you have a very round rock. All right. I don't know if you can hear that, but my cat jumped up on this table, is across from me, and is very loudly licking her paws. All right. And then this last one. Am I a pro yet at the blue circle? I wouldn't say so. I probably need to do 50 more. And I got a little bit of white paint in there, but that's okay. But yeah, you definitely want to start with the white circle. It makes it so much easier as your guide for your blue circle. Okay. And I'm going to make this one thicker. Or should I say wider? Thicker line, a wider line. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, that is what I always say. If it's perfect, then it doesn't look like it's handcrafted. You know, let's see those little idiosyncrasies that are, you know, if that's the word for it, little differences in you know, line width and I'm painting these just for me and my friends. Maybe I'll leave some around town. A few years ago, they were really big on the whole rock, painting rocks, leave a rock, find a rock. Kids love it. Well, how about finding a really cool evil eye rock? Wouldn't you love that? I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to find one. All right, so I love it. So now I'm going to clean my brush and we're going to do the next color. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a turquoise. And I have 3 light blue. I have this light blue, I have this light blue, and I have this light blue. And the traditional is kind of like this, right? With a little bit of this in it, a little bit of green almost. So let's see if I can mix those 2 colors up. Maybe a little bit lighter. But it always has that little hint of like a turquoise in there. All right, to me it does. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush actually because now I really gooped it up. So I'm just going to like wipe that off like that. So now I'm going to go like just in the center and I'm going to do my center. And I'm just going to create another circle in the center. Now, keeping in mind that we are going to have to add a black dot like a pupil in the center of this. So you want to make it big enough. I don't think I hit the exact center of this white, but that's okay. You can always expand it the other way. A bit bigger. Here's where I'm mixing these colors up a bit. That one I think has a little bit too much of the turquoise in it. I'm fussy with my colors because we want to be able to see the contrast of the black dot in the center. So I'm going to go more with the light blue again. Okay. Right in the center, and then work out from that and try to keep it even. All right. I really wanted to do this video over this summer, but I just didn't get to it. I didn't have time. I have a couple autumn videos that I'm going to do next. Welcome fall, by the way. One of my favorite times of year. When we say goodbye to all the summer heat and welcome that cool weather. All right, almost finished. A couple more to do. Right in the center, and then work around it. And this is that one that's very textured. I'm using like a dotting, kind of using the end of the brush to kind of squish the paint into those little crevices. Get a little bit more turquoise in this one. Yeah. Now I can tell that I might want the dark blue line of this one to be a little bit wider. I'll check that out in the very end. And once you know how to paint this symbol, you can paint it on anything. I just think the stones are neat because you can put them in your garden. And you know, an evil eye isn't an evil thing, it's a protection from evil, in case you didn't know that. So these can be used to protect your garden. All right. Now I could have switched to a smaller brush here as well. That might have been a little easier for me, but I did pretty well with this one. I feel comfortable with the size of the brush stroke, and that one went on pretty nice. Okay, here we are. Oh, almost finished. What do you think? Pretty cool, right? Ooh, nice. All right, let me clean my brush. And you know, when you're using acrylic paint, you don't want to let the paint sit on your brush. It's going to harden, plasticky. So yeah, wipe that off right away. And I'm actually going to move to a smaller sized brush to do my black pupil. All right, so I'm just going to go, I'm going to find one that looks kind of dry, because some of these are a little bit wet yet. Let me move these out of the way so I don't bump everything into one into the next. And let's see, this one looks kind of dry. And I'm just going to do that black pupil in there. Don't make it too small. Be a little generous. You can always expand that turquoise circle if you need to, right? So you're just going to find the very center, put a dot, and work out from there. I like that one. That got pretty perfect. Yeah, I probably could have gone a little bit smaller with this brush. I'm kind of struggling with the shape, but I already have black paint on it, and I only have 2 more dots to do, so I'm just going to stick it out. Okay. This is a little one. This is the one where I used a very dark turquoise for that inner circle. Doesn't show up as, the black doesn't show up as nice as it does on this brighter blue. And you want to make sure that blue is dry, because you don't want to mix it into your black. But you know, like I said, with me sitting here doing 7 of them, by the time I go to do the next color, it's pretty dry. The only places that aren't are like some of the outer edges I made a little goopy. All right. Nice. Now, if you like, you can paint your whole stone a color and then do the eye on it. Like you can paint the entire thing white and then do the end on it. And the next thing I'm going to show you is how we fancy a few of these up with gold paint. the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Liquid Leaf gold paint to add some details to one or two of my stones. Now, you have to shake this stuff up. This is like the kind of, I guess you'd call it paint, kind of paint that comes in those paint pens that you have to shake up, you know, the real fancy silver and gold. That's what that is, basically. So I'm going to put some of these out of the way because we're going to work on one at a time. And so I shook this up. Hopefully I can get it open. It's hard to open. I usually put a little bit of Vaseline or something on the lid. All right, I used my master strength and I got it open. But yeah, I usually take a little bit of Vaseline and put it on like the rim of the bottle. And apparently it didn't work that well last time. So I'm going to very carefully, probably should get some kind of a solvent to wipe the dried up stuff off of there and then reapply that. Okay, so yeah, I have this really shimmery paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work out of the lid. I really don't want to dip my brush into it. I mean, I'm sure I could. I have some small brushes here. It's a little too small. Let's go with this one. Let's see if I have enough paint in here. I might. A little bit goes a long way with this. And let's see. I'm going to do this one because I have more room around the perimeter outside of the eye to work with. So I'm just going to like coat the tip of my brush. And I'm going to put some like decorative details around it. So let's see. I guess this would be the top. Let's go with just like some strokes. And, well, there I went right for it again. I better put that away. And so, yeah, you could do like dots if you like. You can do like lines, you know. This gives it just like a brightness. It gives it like a shimmer. And, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. You can do any kind of design you like on here. I'm just doing some lines. This brush is a little heavier than I would like. I think I'm going to have to move to a thinner one for next time. And it's a bright gold, but it actually looks kind of coppery on this stone. I don't know if it's because of the colors around it or the stone itself. Yeah, let me wipe this off and I'm going to get a smaller brush. Oh, let's do teeny tiny one. There it goes. And I'm just going to do lines and dots. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. Really, when the sun catches that, a little bit goes a long way. And you don't have to do this step if you prefer not to. You can just leave them as is. Go over those a little bit. There we go. Now we're talking. My dot's a little heavier. You know, you can also use a dotter tool. I talked about the dotter tool in one of my alcohol ink painting videos, which is actually a tool that I bought online as a manicure set. And you can, I don't have one up here, I'm looking. Don't see one in my brushes, of course, they're downstairs. Yeah, so it has a little ball on the end of it, so it's almost like using the reverse end of your brush where you dip it, you can dot, 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 dot. You get a nice round dot from that. But this is the kind of look I'm going for. I'm going to extend this way out. All the way around the edge of the stone and the top and bottom there. And then you have that glimmery kind of effect. And let's do kind of a point. So I'm going to do like a triangle. And this stuff is really liquidy. Like I said, a little bit goes a long way. You can even get like a drip from it. You have to be careful. Put a little bit too much on there. So I just did a triangle on one end. And now I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to try to figure out about where I put the other one and try to get it about the same, on the same, like so they're even, like on the same, what do you call it, distance from apart, or and I'm going to take it to another level by adding dots at the end of each point. Now you won't see those dots from straight on, but when you pick it up and look at it, you will. And then here, let's see, do I want to add some small ones in there? Yeah, I do. I'll add one small one in between each of the ends. And there's that one. And you know, you can go around and add more if you like. Let's see, let's do one more bright one. Let's try this guy. Let me get a little bit more paint on my lid palette here. Oh, let's see, what do I want to do? Maybe I will add some color actually like in here. So let's do just like some small gold dots going around. Probably should be using my daughter tool for this, but that's okay. Just changing it up a little bit. And they don't have to be perfect. You know, you have to take chances with art, right? You want to just try something out and see if it works. You know, there's plenty of times where I do something and I'm like, oof, why did I do that? What was I thinking, right? And that's just how it is. That's just part of the process of learning and being creative. Being creative doesn't mean doing something and it's all of a sudden amazing and perfect and just what, you know, oh, I amazed myself or someone else and that's just how I wanted it, or I created this amazing thing. It's not really that. It's expressing yourself and trying new things. Ooh, I like that. And I'm going to do it around the outside too. And then I'm going to wrap up this video because my daughter is going to come walking in the door from school any minute. So I have a really fun craft that I want to do for my next video, and I'm going to try to do it really soon. And it has to do with acorns because we're in October now. And you can find acorns. Well, you know, if you live in a deciduous forest area, you'll find acorns all over. Ooh, look at that one. That one got really cool. Now, should I go around the black center? I think I'm gonna. Now, this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, should I stop here while it looks good? Or should I do that? I probably should stop, but you know what? I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep going. Just a couple. So I'm gonna do real careful. And I'm gonna just go forward. Ooh. Okay, I like it. That's good enough. I'm not going to touch it again. All right, do I want to do one more gold one? Let's see. Oh, I like the gold a lot. Yeah, okay, so I'll do this little one. Yeah, let's do this little guy. I think I'm just going to go with, oh, so do I dare trace the blue? Sure I do. I'm going to trace around the blue. And hopefully I don't mess up my shape too much. But this is the one that we did on the really curved rock. So you can't really tell too much if I mess it up, right? But yeah, try this at home. It's super fun. And when you're finished, you let them dry very, very well. They should be completely dry. Let them dry overnight if you want to be really sure. Like I said, if you need to do any touch-ups on any spots on the paint, do that, you know, beforehand. Let them dry. And then if you're going to put them outside, you're going to want to coat them with a sealer, like an acrylic spray sealer that you can get at any craft store. I can't really recommend a brand for you, but you can ask at the store what they recommend. Usually in the aisle with the adhesives or the paints, they have sealers. I do not know if Mod Podge would work. I really like the gold outline. Oh, I like that one a lot. I hope you can see these. Yeah, gold outline is looking good. I even want to make it a little, see now here I am. Now I'm gonna like, let's do this more because I really like it. I'm giving it like a whole nother life. And then you have your little beautiful amulet. Talisman, amulet, protection. One of my most recent paintings that I did, which is actually a mix between, it started out as a watercolor painting, and then I scanned it and added graphic art to it. So it's kind of, I guess you'd call that a mixed media. Was an evil eye painting that I transformed. And it's a whole field of them. And then in the center I have a heart. There's an open space in this whole field of evil eyes, and there's a little pink heart in the middle, and I call it Protected Heart. So I thought that was kind of cute, and it's been popular in my shop. I have it on a white background and on a black background, so check that out at Society 6 at Laura Beth Love is the name of my shop. Easy to remember, and I'll have all the links below in this video if you're interested in checking that out. So let's take a look at what we did. What do you think? I really love how these turned out. This was so much fun to do. It was so easy. I feel so much more relaxed now. How do you like that? So it is definitely a relaxing, meditative craft. Again, all you need are some inexpensive craft paint brushes. You need some acrylic paint. You do not need to buy the big tubes. You can buy those small little containers that are about 2 fluid ounces. So yeah, get a couple of those, get your brushes, find some stones, clean them off, find a nice well-lit place, and give it a go. And I hope you like this video, and I hope that you try it at home. If you do, leave me a comment below. Let me know how it goes. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and you won't miss out on any videos if you click the little bell next to the subscribe button, because then you'll get notified when I release a new video. See you next time.